Hey guys, this is Vadim with MacSec, and today we're going to be comparing the brand new 2019 MacBook Air to the $1,300 13-inch MacBook Pro. All right, let's get this box off, and here we are. We have the beautiful gold MacBook Air. This is a color that you cannot get on the MacBook Pro. Really, really nice looking gold. Let's get rid of this. Oh yeah, nice. Very, very nice. There goes that. And we can also take off the little film in here. Just like that, nice and fresh. Get that back into the box. All right, and we'll get rid of the box as well. So as far as design, both of them look really nice. They're both really similar in size, as you guys can see. Both really close. They have the same all aluminum chassis all the way around. They look really, really good, except if you look from the side angle, the MacBook Air actually has a wedge shape compared to a slate shape, a very flat slate shape on the MacBook Pro. So that's one big difference. And on the side here, we have one headphone jack, and on the other side, we've got two Thunderbolt 3 ports on both the MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air. And the MacBook Air is actually a little bit thicker at the thickest points of both of these MacBooks, but on the front end, it's actually thinner than the MacBook Pro. Now I have both of them turned over and they look basically identical, except on the MacBook Pro, it looks like the vents are a little bit bigger, whereas it's a little bit slimmer. This vent right here is slimmer on the MacBook Air. And just like on the MacBook Pro, the hinge opens up really easily, which is something awesome with Apple MacBooks compared to Windows laptops. And it looks like we have the same kind of overall layout right here. We have a nice big trackpad. We have the whole keyboard layout here, but the MacBook Pro actually has the touch bar, something that you don't get on the MacBook Air. However, the MacBook Air does get Touch ID, and it's built in right into the power button. And again, we've got the speaker grills on both sides, just like on the MacBook Pro. And one thing that's different is the hinge. The notch on the hinge here has this kind of curve to it and actually cuts out the whole front end, whereas you actually just get a notch in the corner on the MacBook Pro. This is very interesting, and this is a trademark that we used to get on the old MacBook Airs. It looks like Apple followed it through with the new models as well. And another difference we see right here is that the MacBook Air's trackpad is actually slightly smaller than the one on the MacBook Pro. Now I really love large trackpads because it gives you a lot of free movement right here compared to Windows laptops especially have very small trackpads, so that's pretty nice. Now the final difference is actually a pretty big one. On the MacBook Air, the keyboard actually slopes downward, so you guys can see that the MacBook Pro at the top is actually lower than the MacBook Air, and then near the front, the MacBook Pro is higher, so you definitely get a nice downward slope on the MacBook Air. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna give you a better typing experience. It's gonna be more comfortable to type on the MacBook Air, whereas on the MacBook Pro, your palms might actually dig into the edge of the MacBook Pro and be a little bit uncomfortable over time. And with that, let's set it up. And here we have the Touch ID setup. Let's set this up really quick. It scans surprisingly quick on this. It's probably the fastest. There you go, it's done. The fastest Touch ID setup you'll ever see. And both of these have Touch ID, so it's really, really convenient. And something that we didn't get last year on either of these MacBooks is True Tone. Now, True Tone adjusts the white balance of the display to match your surroundings. So if we have some of these tungsten lights, like this yellow one here and that little one there, it might affect the color in the environment, and this is gonna compensate for that and change it so it looks paper white all the time. So as you guys can see on this screen right here, when I click this, it turns it off and it becomes really blue. It kind of simulates the difference. So this is really, really nice for reading and doing other stuff like that. Let's quickly talk about the differences between the function keys and the touch bar. With the function keys, you have access to all these settings like the brightness, we have the volume controls, we have the keyboard backlighting right here, we have access to all of our windows, everything right here at all times, especially the escape key. While on the touch bar, you actually have to hit this arrow first to get access to those same keys. And then you have to click the X button to show the escape key. And then the FN key shows all the F buttons and all this stuff. You don't have access to everything at once like you do with the function keys. However, you can customize this and add a bunch of different stuff, like different apps can add different shortcuts, and you can see different tabs in Safari and all this other stuff. Now, one of the biggest differences between both of these MacBooks is that the MacBook Pro has a much better display. It has P3 wide color gamut support, so it actually has about 25% more colors than 100% sRGB, while the MacBook Air does not have that. It's not that color accurate, so if you're a photo editor, you definitely want to be going with the MacBook Pro for the more color accurate display. And another big difference is display brightness. The MacBook Pro gets 500 nits, while the MacBook Air has around 350, so it's definitely a lot dimmer. It's not as bright as the MacBook Pro, as you guys can see right now. So now let's jump into a quick speaker test to see which one sounds better. Let's start with the MacBook Air. Okay. Okay, first of all, I can hear more volume on the MacBook Pro already, and it does sound like it has a wider sound stage so far. So the voice definitely sounds more clear on the MacBook Pro, I can tell right away. Let's get into some more bassy part of the song. Okay, and on this one. Yep, and there's more bass on the MacBook Pro as well. So overall, they both sound really good, but I could definitely tell that the MacBook Pro sounds a little bit better, more bass, but both of these sound so much better than a lot of Windows laptops out there, so you really can't go wrong. And finally, let's finish off with the performance. Now, the 2019 MacBook Air comes with a dual-core processor, while the MacBook Pro gets a quad-core. And while it's only a 1.4 GHz quad-core, it's actually really powerful. So let's start off with Geekbench 4's CPU test. So we got the results back, and we can see that the MacBook Pro is much more powerful than the MacBook Air. Not only are we getting over 1,000 more single-core score, but on multi-core we're getting more than double the score than the MacBook Air. So just from this, you're paying $200 more for the MacBook Pro, and you're getting more than double the multi-core performance. It's really impressive. And we just ran the graphics test as well, and we're getting almost 2.5 times more graphics performance on the MacBook Pro, which is insane. So after comparing all of that, we can definitely say that the MacBook Pro is the better value, considering the better display, the bigger trackpad, the much better performance. But is there any reason to buy the MacBook Air? Why should someone buy the MacBook Air if they could just pay $200 more for the MacBook Pro? Well, first of all, the MacBook Air does get 2 hours more rated battery life. It's rated for 12 hours instead of 10, and that's because the performance is definitely a lot lower. But the MacBook Pro does get brighter, so if you're going to be using your MacBook Pro at maximum brightness, you might see an even bigger difference in battery life between these two machines. And another reason is that it does come in gold, so if you really want the gold color, you can get the MacBook Air, which you can't get on the MacBook Pro. And of course, the MacBook Air comes with the regular function keys, so if you absolutely can't stand the touch bar, you can choose the MacBook Air and you can get those function keys. And finally, the MacBook Air's keyboard slopes downwards, so it is gonna have a more comfortable typing experience. So if you're a writer, most likely you're gonna love the MacBook Air for the better battery life and the more comfortable typing experience. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this comparison, tap that like button and click the circle above to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.